Pika Pikachu?
Hi there, my name is Tommy Chu, and this is my deck profile for Gold Pride Punk. Punk is actually one of my favorite decks of all time, as you can tell from my gorgeous metal field center there. Um, I love playing Punk. I played Pure Punk, I've played Punk Libromancer, and when I saw these Gold Pride cards, I just thought the synergy was just amazing. And then they have so much of an advantage loop, and then you just keep recurring cards. There's so much synergy with the quick synchroing effects that I just had to play them. So I played them at my locals this last weekend. And even though it wasn't like the best of records, I had to give a couple games away to little children that I was playing, and then just to be nice, And I misplayed a game myself, but I think the deck has legs, and I think it's something to contend with if we get more support for this TCG exclusive. So let's get on to the deck profile. Now, for any Punk deck, you're going to be playing 3 copies of Z-Almond. So Z-Almond is kind of your basic combo starter. If you pay 600 life points, you can add any Punk monster from your deck to your hand. And its lesser known secondary effect, if it's sent from the field to the graveyard for any reason, you can pump a Punk monster you control by 600 attack points. Kind of useful in fringe cases where you need to pump a synchro monster in the late game for extra damage. That's kind of cool. And then yeah, with Zeoman and some discard fodder in your hand, you basically have full combo. Next, we have basically another 3 copies of Zeoman in Ogre Dance. So, Ogre Dance, most of the time you are going to be discarding it, adding a Punk monster from your deck to your hand. So that's going to be Zeoman. Um, Other effect that you can do with Ogre Dance is that you contribute a Punk monster you control, special summon it out. That's useful because it's a level 8 monster, and we do play a rank 8 in the extra deck, so that does come up. You can also, fun fact, use the Ogre Dance effect from your field. So if for some reason this was on your field, if you special summoned it off the field spell, or you had it on a previous turn, you can just do the search effect from the field as well. So that's kind of nice. And again, this did not come up in the games that I've played, but if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can make it gain attack equal to that monster's original attack until the end of the turn. So this thing can get pretty big. For other level 8s, and probably my favorite card, Foxy Tune. So 3 copies of Foxy Tune. So with Foxy Tune, if you activate its effect, you discard itself and another card from your hand. Now, for fun fact, the cost is just sending itself. So if they ash it, all you send is the Foxy Tune. When the effect resolves, you send another card from your hand to the graveyard, and then you get to special summon a Punk monster from your deck. So that's pretty essential to the combo because you need to get a certain combo piece out. And similar to Ogre Dance, you contribute a Punk monster you control, bring this out. Again, another level 8 body. And it's just really nice. And then if this destroys anything by battle, you gain life points equal to that monster's original attack. Not something you'll probably be doing that often. And it's not really much of a time strat either because you pay so many life points to do the Punk combo over time. But I love this card. It gets you a special summon. That way you can conserve the normal and use the normal for actual part of the combo. Now, most of the times, the combo piece you're trying to get to is Sharakusai. So, Sharakusai is kind of like our pivot point in the deck. You can do so many things with it. You can pay 600 life points on your turn to fusion summon a Punk fusion monster. So that would be Punk Rising Carp. And then that kind of gets us to our combos because Rising Carp will tribute itself, bring out 2 Punk monsters from the deck, and you can just keep comboing off there. Sharakusai's other cool effect is in your opponent's turn during their main phase. Actually, no, it's actually any point during their turn. You can pay 600 life points, which is relevant. Immediately synchro summon, so quick synchro, into a Punk synchro monster using any monsters that you control. So typically, you go into Punk Amazing Dragon using a synchro 8 on the field. And then with Amazing Dragon, and if you've done your Punk combo correctly, you'll have 3 to 4 Psychic type level 3 tuners in your graveyard, and you can bounce up to usually 3 or 4 cards from your opponent's side of the field back to their hand, which is crazy interruption. Um, it's just really, really cool. So I played the one copy of Sharakusai. Um, and then typically as part of the combo, you go through Deer Note. Um, I'm playing 2 copies of Deer Note. Depending on the deck, in Engines you usually see this card at 1. In a pure deck, I'll actually play 3 copies of Deer Note. And you might think this is the brick of the deck, but it kind of works even if you draw it. So Deer Note, the most important thing is that it's a level 5, because with your level 3 tuners, you can make the Synchro 8s, and you kind of combo there. And if this goes to the graveyard, you can actually bring back any punk monster back to the field other than a level 5, which Deer Note's the only level 5. So any other punk monster, you can bring it back, and then that's how you keep comboing, and that's how you bring back level 8s. So you can do, rank 8s. You can do Synchro 11s if you bring back an 8 and a 3, that kind of stuff. Um, and the combo still works even if you draw it in your hand. You summon it from your hand, obviously you just don't plus as much. But it's also kind of an extender. So Deer Note is a wicked extender, especially in pure punk decks, because if you have any 2 punk, or Deer Note and any other punk card, what you can do is you can reveal Deer Note, reveal the other punk, and then you get to choose, send one to graveyard, special summon the other, so depending on whichever one you need. So it actually functions as a pretty good extender as well. So that's actually awesome. Deer Note's amazing. And then kind of the one-off tuners that we summon throughout the combo, Wagon and Madam Spider. So 1 copy of each, just because it's part of the combo, and we don't want to brick on them. Both of them have very similar effects. Both of them you pay 600 life points, and you get to search a card. So Wagon searches for spells, and Madam Spider searches for traps. The only spell card worth searching is Punk Jam Extreme Session, and Madam Spider we're going to be searching for Dangerous Gabu. So we'll talk about these in a little bit here. So Wagon especially is kind of cool because when it's on the field, when your opponent's activating effects that kind of target Punk Monster, you can also just draw a card. So Jam Extreme Session already gets you draws, but Wagon gets you even more if it sticks on the field for any reason. And then Madam Spider has like a having attack points kind of effect. Not very relevant, and pretty much I never try to keep these ones on the field. I try to overlay them for a rank 3 or synchro them off if I can. Typically, and if I'm going to keep one on the field, I'm probably going to keep Wagon just for that draw effect. Now let's talk about the spell and traps that they search. So let's start with the spell card. The only spell card in the punks that is currently worth playing is the field spell, Punk Jam Extreme Session. And if you've never seen this card is amazing. Its first effect, you can banish a punk card from your graveyard, special summon a punk from your hand. That's actually a soft once per turn, fun fact. So in pure punk decks, you can actually play multiple copies of this, and it actually kind of works like an extender. And you can just keep using them, keep banishing, keep summoning. The second effect, the more important effect, is that anytime you would pay life points to activate a psychic monster's effect, on a new chain, you actually get to draw a card. So you can do that up to twice per turn, and that's crazy. So this is how you get your little draw engine, you get your little advantage. You draw into powerful cards that you can set. So you can draw into hand traps, you can draw into any of our going second cards. Just fantastic overall. Could consider playing this at more than 1 copy. I'm playing 1 to try to slim down the deck as much as I can. In pure punk decks, like I said, you'd probably pay more, and I play a pretty sizable punk package, so something to consider. And then the trap card that we're playing Dangerous Gabu. Now you could consider Nashiwari's Surprise. The reason I'm playing Dangerous Gabu is that it's a little more generic. You can use its effect at any point without having to control a punk monster. The only reason you would want a punk monster is if you want to get its life point gaining effect, which I don't think is very relevant. Can be kind of useful. So essentially, Dangerous Gabu is like an imperm. It negates 1 effect monster till the end of the turn. So just negates 1 monster, another form of interruption. And if you do control a punk, whenever you negate, you gain that thing's original attack points. That thing's original attack points and life points. You'd think that'd be good for game, but because in the punk, strategy, you're paying so many life points, the life points that you're gaining back is probably not enough to, outrace your life point drain. So you probably won't win in time because of this, unless for whatever reason you have this singular card, you summon a punk monster and you don't use its effects, time's called and you use this to gain life points in the main phase or something. And then the 3 honorary punk cards, emergency teleport. So just another way to get out Zeomin. Obviously, it doesn't eat up your normal summon. Always a great card to get out because it's another extender. Has synergy with Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit, which I play. Spoilers. You can use that as a hand trap. Bring it out. You can bring out level 3 for overlay. And like for most of the time though, you're gonna be bringing out Zeomin. You're gonna do your punk combo. Okay, next we're going to be looking at the Gold Pride half of the deck. So first off, we're going to have 3 copies of Gold Pride Captain Carrie. Now, all the Gold Pride monsters have the gimmick where if your life points are lower, you can special summon the Gold Pride monsters from your hand to the field, and then they have their respective effects. Now, when Captain Carrie is normal or special summoned, you can actually add a Gold Pride trap card from your deck to your hand. And then cool kind of, again, fringe kind of effect is if this gets sent from the field to the graveyard, you can banish up to 3 Gold Pride cards and then give a Gold Pride monster 500 attack points for each card that you banish. So you can give 1500 attack points to any Gold Pride monster there. And the Synchro 6 actually gains a lot of attack points off of a monster pop that it does during your opponent's turn. So you can get a lot of attack points to your monsters with this effect. So it's kind of fun to do. Next, we have 3 copies of Gold Pride Leon. So something to note, Leon is actually a tuner, which is actually pretty relevant because you go into the Synchro 6. Now, same gimmick obviously, special summon it when your life points are lower, and then if this monster is summoned, you can actually bring back a Gold Pride monster from your graveyard. If you do though, you are locked into Gold Pride extra deck monsters for the rest of the turn. So if you're going to be doing that, obviously do like your punk stuff first and then go into Gold Pride stuff. But the reason this effect is cool is that you can actually do it during your opponent's turn because of its other effect. So during your opponent's main phase, or is it any phase? During their main phase, you can quick effect Synchro Summon using only Gold Pride materials to bring out any extra deck monster, but you'll probably end up bringing out the punk, or sorry, the whatchamacallit, the Gold Pride Synchro monster, the Synchro 6, Star Leon. Reason being is Star Leon is a quick effect monster pop, and then if it survives till the end phase, you can tag back into Gold Pride Leon, and then Leon can bring back the other monster that you use, probably Carrie, that you use to Synchro Summon with it. And then the Carrie will add back, or will add another copy of the trap card, and then you'll be able to do that again the next turn. So nice little advantage loop if that disruption is good enough and it sticks. And then you don't have to worry about that stipulation, the little condition, because you did it during your opponent's turn. So that's actually really cool. And then those two, Captain Carrie and Leon there, actually work as level 3 extenders to your punk combo. Assuming you've paid life points before the punk combo, you can consider them basically level 3 extenders. And for the last of the monsters, we're playing 3 Gold Pride Nitro Head. Now, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this one. Reason being, while the card is great, it has cool interruption, it is a level 8, and if you don't have any punk starters or any way to reduce your life points, this thing is dead on arrival, and it just sits in your hand. The reason this card is so cool, though, is that during your opponent's standby phase, you summon a token to their field, anywhere that you pick, and then during their main phase, you can blow up the token and anything in adjacent zones. So it's a really cool, it's a unique kind of interruption, and they have to kind of play around their zones, and it kind of limits some of their options. Some of the cheeky plays that you can do. So if you choose to place a token underneath one of the extra monster zones, you can blow up to 4 things because it's adjacent to 4 zones. You can block off the middle one if they have a lot of like 2 monsters that need to point to the center zone or something like that. You can also, and this came up against a pendulum player that I had like a fun duel with. You can place it above a pendulum zone when they try to activate a scale and blow up the scale too. So that's also kind of cool. So kind of cheeky, and that's also really cool. And then especially against Kashtira, because this is a Kashtira format, or Kashtira heavy format, I should say. You can place a token on their side of the field, and all of a sudden they can't special summon monsters. And you do that during their standby phase, so that's actually kind of cool. So, Nitro Head, cool card. And then for the trap card that we start off with Captain Carrie, actually, Gold Pride, Start Your Engines. This trap card is kind of nuts because it acts as a form of interruption and actually comes out as a second layer of interruption if it's like unchecked. So essentially, when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you target one of those monsters, you reveal 3 Gold Pride monsters from your deck, and then your opponent randomly picks one for you to special summon, and then if you do special summon that monster, you destroy the targeted monster. So that's the reason why we play 3 copies of each of the Gold Pride monsters. So that if you don't draw any of them, you can basically guarantee which one you want to bring out to your field. Going forward, I might only play 2 copies of Nitro Head, mainly being because by the point when you can summon Nitro Head off of Start Your Engines, you've missed your point that you can summon a token to their field and do the little pop. The reason I was playing 3 though was because it was level 8, and I thought it'd be a cool way to extend and make Synchro 11s and stuff, or rank 8s, and just guarantee it off of Start Your Engines. But if it doesn't stay on the field anyway, it doesn't really help. So usually this seems to be better summoning off of Leon to do the cool Star Leon combo. Otherwise, that is there. And I play 2 copies of the trap card because if you do that Star Leon combo, you get to search for another copy and do that combo all over again. Okay. Now, for our other cards in the deck, we've gone over the main core of the deck. We're playing a bunch of hand traps, mostly because the punk half of the deck draws so many cards that you want to draw into cards that are, good. So if you're going first, you can draw into things like hand traps, and the premier hand trap of the format, we're going to be playing Ash Blossom. Just great for slowing your opponent down, negating any searches or summons from the deck. Just great overall. It's a level 3 tuner as well, so fringe cases, if you somehow get this on late game, you can special summon Nitro Head, normal summon an Ash Blossom, go over to a Synchro 11 if you need to. You do what you gotta do. As part of the Ghost Sisters, I'm also playing 1 copy of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Again, level 3 Psychic Tuner. You can actually search it off of the Punk Synchro 8, Punk Jam Dragon Drive. So you can have another form of interruption that's in your hand, and just make them really respect things. So you can discard it or send it from the field. So you can also summon off of the E-Telly. But if it goes to the graveyard, then you get to pop something that's activated its effect on the field. So great for field spells, continuous spells. Great for the adventure matchup. So if they have Wandering Griffin Rider and they try to negate something and this is on the field, or you have it in your hand, you can pop the Wandering Griffin Rider before it shuffles itself back, and then you can basically cancel out the negate. So that's really cool. And then probably 3 of my favorite hand trap right now. Infinite Impermanence. Great for going second. Great for going first. Great card to set. Negate a monster on the field. Really great for when you're trying to break through boards, get rid of something problematic. And then even when you draw it going first, like if you go through your punk combo and get this and you set it, that's amazing. Because then just layers and layers of interruption is what you're going for with this deck. And then for other kind of going second card, I'm playing 2 Kashtira Fenrir. I can only afford to, and if you can't afford to play Kashtira Fenrir, that's okay. You can probably not play them at all, if I'm being honest, because I'm playing so many cards in this deck. I'm playing 46. I don't think I've mentioned that. But Fenrir is great. Having a going second option, like I said, just being able to break through boards, banishing monsters when they activate their effects. And then something I was misplaying throughout the weekend, I kept forgetting to do, was summoning one and then forgetting to add the other one off of it. So just make sure that you do that. So with the 2 Fenrir, mainly what it is that it's level 7, so with any of your tuners, be it Ash Blossom or any one of your Punk monsters or Gold Pride Leon, you can turn it into Baronne de Fleur, so a Synchro 10. And it's just another easy, early negate that you can have so you can protect your board. And I play the one of Psychic Tracker. So it's a level 3 Psychic monster. It's essentially just an extender. So if you control a level 3 monster, you can special summon this card. And then you can do it for synchro summons, and then you can XYZ. But the reason it's here is that you can search it off of the Punk Jam Dragon Drive. And the idea is that it's just another extender. And then you can do with it whatever you want. You can, if you drew the Gold Pride Leon, you can bring this out next to it, and then you can synchro using these two. Or, I guess you can't synchro summon, sorry. You cannot synchro summon using the Gold Pride thing with the Leon's effect. You can synchro summon it hard synchro summon, so Leon Nexus thing into Star Leon. You just can't use its quick effect to do that, so you would want to do it in your turn. But this is kind of cool because it's a non-tuner, so you can synchro summon like that, or you can just overlay into a rank 3. And then to round off, these are kind of consistency / going second kind of options. I'm playing 3 triple tactics talents, 3 pot of prosperities. So triple tactics talents, the idea behind these ones is going second. It's a great option. You can break through Ash Blossoms and their hand traps like Effect Veiler, go through Monster Negate and just keep drawing cards and get to other engine pieces. You can steal monsters to overlay things with. So triple tactics talents is great for that. So if people have been really good at trying to get Xiamen under control, negating Xiamen, you triple tactics, find your Gold Pride stuff, and then you're playing Gold Pride things instead. So that's kind of cool. And then 3 Pot of Prosperity. So this is the card I've been debating on keeping in the deck. I personally like it. I know it brings me up to a higher deck count, but I like it for the consistency because you can search for the other half of the deck should you be missing it. And because I'm playing a lot of going second options and I board into a lot of board breakers going second, this really searches you all of those options. Obviously, if you search into a board breaker, you can't OTK them because of the Pot of Prosperity's side effect. But getting your consistency cards, getting into the ones that you want, ensuring that you can combo off, I think it's great. And then when you sideboard cards in, kind of guaranteeing that you can find them. And if for any reason you need to sideboard the entire thing, this is a good card to also board out. But okay, so moving on to the extra deck here, we're playing the 1 copy of Punk Rising Carp. Now, this is probably the most important part of the extra deck because this is how all your combos happen. It's also the biggest choke point of the deck because if you try to negate this, negate the little effect where it tutors out 2 of the Punk monsters, you're kind of short of luck because you've tributed it off for cost and you've been unable to bring out the 2 monsters. So kind of hard only playing the 1. I wish I was playing Gamma in this deck too, but I was running out of cards, running out of deck space to put them. But idea is if you have the Gamma, if they ash this when you tribute it off, you can Gamma and then still get the effect to go off. But for now, we're playing the 1 copy like that. For the other Punk extra deck monsters, we're playing 2 of Punk Jam Dragon Drive. So this is our level 8 synchro monster there. This card is great because when this card is synchro summoned, you can pay 600 life points, and then you can add a level 3 psychic monster to your hand, or you can send it to the graveyard. Most of the time, you're just adding it to your hand, and that can be any one of your Punk cards, so you can get follow up for the next turn. You can get Ghost Ogre as another form of disruption. You can get the Psychic Tracker as extension. just great stuff. And because you'll normally have the field spell up by the time you get to this monster, you'll also get a draw. So that's actually pretty great. And if this card is in your graveyard, and your opponent responds to one of your punk card's effects, you can actually bring this back out onto the field. So it recurs itself pretty well. I'm playing 2 copies just so that I can do the punk combo again the next turn. Like say I go for one line of play and it gets broken through, and I'm able to go through get to a synchro 8 again. This time I can search for something else and then go for a different monster. So typically after doing that, or after something like that, we go into Punk Amazing Dragon. 2 copies of this. This card is actually literally amazing. When this card is synchro summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of level 3 psychics you have in your grave. Level 3 psychic monsters, and return those cards in your opponent's field back to their hand. So that's great, especially when you do the Sharakusai effect. Your quick effect synchro summoning, bringing out Amazing Dragon. You're bouncing a bunch of cards on their field back to their hand, and if you have the field spell up, because you're using the Sharakusai effect, you also get to draw a card. So just so much advantage and so much of a swing off of that effect if you're able to disrupt your opponent at the right time. Its other effect is that you can bring a punk monster back, a special summon one back. You can only use either of those effects once. You can't use both in the same turn. So you can either bring something back and then you can just keep calling off, or you can just get other things on the field for damage. So Punk Amazing Dragon, really good. For the Gold Pride extra deck, we're playing Gold Pride Star Leon. So this is for that really good for that combo we were looking at earlier. So you can make this one hard off of a level 3 any like 2 monsters, as long as one's a tuner and one's a non-tuner. But you can do it with Gold Leon and a level 3 extender like Psychic Tracker. You can use Gold Leon and Carrie as a quick effect synchro summon if you wanted to do some disruption. But either way, this thing has a quick effect to, during your opponent's turn, a quick effect to pop a face-up monster. It'll gain that monster's attack. And then if this card used the destruction effect during the turn, and it goes to the end phase, it'll actually tag itself out for Leon, and we can actually do that cool little interaction that we talked about earlier. So Leon brings back the Carrie searches for the trap, and then you get to basically do that again the next turn. So Star Leon is really great too. And then for the remaining synchro monsters, we're playing one of Navy Dragon Mech, Baron de Fleur, and Psychic End Punisher. So Navy Dragon Mech is kind of cool. A level 9 synchro. Sometimes you can just go off of Star Leon, you've popped something already, you have another level 3 tuner, you can go into Navy Dragon Mech, negate the rest of the stuff on the field. And then if it's destroyed by card effect, you can target a tuner, add it back to your hand, so you can get follow-up if you need to. Baron de Fleur, literally only here because I'm playing the Cashtera Fenrir's. Level 7 plus level 3, you get a level 10 synchro. Nice to do if you have a lot of level 3 tuners or a lot of ways to extend. You can have early negation on the field, and then Baron's a big body, gets a pop as well. And then basically our other boss monster of the deck, Psychic End Punisher. So it's a level 11 synchro, and then as long as your life points are less than or equal to your opponent's life points, this is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. And that is crazy in this deck because we're playing punks and we're paying so many life points, we're almost definitely going to be lower. And then its other effect, if you get to the battle phase, you activate its effect, it gains attack points equal to the difference. So this thing, and that's a permanent gain, so this thing becomes a monster. So a lot of times, if I can't end an opponent right away, I'll go to battle phase, declare this effect, gain the attack points, and then move on. And then just let this thing get bigger and bigger, because they won't have a way to out it. And then finally, when you can punch for game. Its other effect, its last effect, you can pay 1,000 life points, banish a monster you control and a card your opponent controls, and just like you pay 1,000 life points, then you target one monster you control, a card they control, banish them both. Great way to bring your life points down even further, and then thus increasing your attack point gain. Okay, now let's move on to our XYZ monsters. I'm playing a rank 3, number 75, Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. Um, Essentially, what you're going to do, it's any two plus level 3 monsters. Essentially a negate, or a monster negate. So, if I can afford to make this early in my combo, I will, because it'll be my anti-Nibiru strat. I will overlay two things, and then if they try to Nibiru me at any point, you can detach two, or any monster effect for that matter. Detach two, and then the effect is you both draw a card. Which is even great, because we're drawing so many cards with Punk already, drawing even more cards. You're just getting even more extenders, drawing into hand traps. I think that's great. It's also a nice thing to end on sometimes when you have extra level 3s. You can search for a Psychic Tracker and then overlay them for Gossip Shadow, so just another monster negate in that way. And then I'm playing for rank 8, number 23, Lancelot, Dark Knight of the Underworld. There's probably a lot of different rank 8s that you could play in this slot. I'm thinking of like a Therion build where you play Sargus instead for Therions. You could probably play Dingirsi, you could play Hope Harbinger, you can play Divine Knight Felbrand. I opted for Lancelot mostly because I own Lancelot. It's a mandatory Omni Negate, so the first effect that happens, it has to negate. Um, so while Omni Negate is great, you don't get to pick which effect you're negating. So it's a little bit of a hassle, but it is something they have to deal with. Also has a cheeky effect, it can attack directly, so again, fringe case, you might be able to do some kind of weird time shenanigans. But instead, attacking directly, you can go into Zeus plays. Speaking of which, we play Divine Arsenal Zeus. So just having Xyz monsters, just having something to go into. It's kind of like a third kind of boss monster to go into. Just wiping the field if we can't have another way to wipe through. And then Link monsters. We're playing a Link 2 Gold Pride Nitro Blaster. It is a Link 2 using only Gold Pride monsters with different levels. So it has an ignition effect. You can target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and then if you have less life points than your opponent, anything in its adjacent zones will get popped as well. So kind of like Nitro Blaster, obviously, it is, or it is the whatchamacallit, the Link version of it. And then if you've used that effect during the turn, and then in the end phase, you can tag it out and bring out a Nitro Head from your deck or graveyard. If there was a card I would consider cutting, I did use this once or twice during the weekend, but I think there's like a package that you could probably play instead. I also found myself banishing this off of Prosperities quite a bit. Then I'm playing one of Nightmare Unicorn, just a Link 3, just more things to clear the field. And then rank 4, Access Code Talker. So if we want one more boss monster to finish the game, we have Access Code Talker. Nightmare Unicorn, just so you can boost it and get this thing just slightly higher, get it to 5,300. Okay, and then for our side deck. So obviously side deck, you tailor make it to whatever your local scene or whatever tournament you're playing. This is just one that I thought would match up against the people at my locals. My locals, there seems to be a lot of players that play a lot of back row kind of decks, so a lot of Labyrinth, a lot of trap heavy decks. So I'm not a fan, so I like to try to play anything that can match up well against that. And I like to play a lot of going second cards, so I can side them in. Pot of Prosperity helps find them. Just a lot of cards to break boards. So, speaking of which, so starting off, 3 anti-spell fragrance. This deck is very spell trap weak. Your board can be broken apart by forbidden droplets, infinite impermanence. Obviously, this doesn't stop that, but dark rulers, that kind of stuff, just slowing them down, preventing some spells from going off, and keeping your board alive. And then for spell trap hate, I'm playing quite a few. I was playing a Cosmic Cyclone in the main deck, but I'm opting to just play the 2 in the side deck here with the 1 Feather Duster. Cosmic Cyclone, you can you can kind of consider it a starter card for the Gold Pride stuff because you pay 1,000 life points and then you're off to the races. You can do all your Gold Pride stuff. Um, when I was playing at main deck, I was having 3 copies of Cosmic and then the 1 Feather Duster, just as that. And then I'm also playing 3 Lightning Storm. If I can find my last one. 3 Lightning Storm. So a bunch of spell trap hate. Yeah, like I said, getting rid of a lot of things is also counts as a board breaker. If they leave a bunch of link monsters or something or things in attack mode, we just get rid of them. So just nice to draw. And then kind of more back row slash board breaking potential. 3 evenly matched. Yeah, just forcing your opponent to activate their cards or you spend their cards, leaving them with 1. Love it. The ability to break them and to get rid of a bunch of back row. Can't ask for much more. I'm playing 2 Forbidden Droplets. I play 2 because I only own 2. But this card is great. Something great that you can draw into with your Punk Engine as well. If you draw this off your Punk Engine and you set it, and then because you've drawn a bunch of cards, now you have a bunch of discard fodder. And you can prevent your opponent from responding to it with Forbidden Droplets, and that's great. You can just blanket negate stuff. And then for the last one, I'm playing one of the other traps. So, Nashawari Surprise. This could probably be something else. I'm just playing it because sometimes the Dangerous Gabu that I search off of Madam Spider isn't quite so good. And especially against the trap kind of matchups, trap decks and such, Dangerous Gabu does absolutely nothing. And at least this, by itself, with no punk monsters, destroys a set card. And if you do control a punk monster, you destroy a face-up card. So just another form of destruction that I like to play, and that'll be our side deck. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick little combo guide showcasing what the punk cards and the gold pride cards do together. For this combo, we're doing any one of the punk starters, so Xiamen, that could also be Ogre Dance, that can be Foxy Tune, that could be Emergency Teleport, any one of those. Captain Carrie, in this case specifically. There are combos that you can do with Leon. I just wanted to show Captain Carrie because that best showcases the kind of advantage loop that we can get. And then you just need a random card to discard. So, what you're going to do with this hand is you're going to normal summon the Xiamen. You're going to pay 600 life points. And you're going to search for a punk monster, so in this case Foxy Tune. We're going to add that to our hand. Now that our life points are lower, we're going to special summon Captain Carrie. On special summon, we're going to search for a Gold Pride trap card, which will be Gold Pride Start Your Engines. We'll add that to our hand. And then at this point, we're going to use the Foxy Tune effect, discarding herself, and then as cost. And then if the effect resolves, we're going to discard another card, special summon a punk monster from our deck. In this case, we're special summoning Sharakusai. We're going to pay another 600 life points to fusion summon. So using these 2 on the field, fusion summoning, and we're going into Punk Rising Carp. Punk Rising Carp effect is going to tribute itself, and that's going to tutor out 2 punk monsters from our deck. So in this case, Deer Note and Punk Wagon. Wagon, we're going to use Wagon's effect, pay 600 life points, search for a punk spell trap, in this case the field spell, Punk Jam Extreme Session, and we're going to activate it immediately. Reason being is because we are going to Synchro Summon. So Synchro 3 and 5, we're going to go into the Synchro 8 Punk Jam Dragon Drive. And a couple chain links are going to happen here. So we're going to do chain link 1 Deer Note, chain link 2 Jam Dragon Drive. Reason being, I would rather they negate my search off of Jam Dragon Drive than my monster that I bring back off of Deer Note. So chain link 2, I'm going to add Madam Spider, paying 600 life points. And then Deer Note is going to bring back, I like to bring back Sharakusai. This can be any of the level 3 tuners. I just prefer Sharakusai because he has the quick effect synchro summon. You can bring back the level 8 Rising Carp if you wanted to, or any of the other level 8s if you use them in the combo to go for an overlay for a rank 8. This is just my preferred end board. Okay, and then in a new chain, now that I've paid 600 life points off a Jam Dragon Drive, I can draw a card. I'm just going to represent it with this card right here, off of Jam Extreme Session. And then we're going to use the field spell's other effect to banish a punk monster from our graveyard. So I usually banish the Deer Note to special summon the Madam Spider that we searched. And we're going to pay 600 life points, search for a punk trap card, so in this case, Dangerous Gabu. And then because we paid another 600 life points, our field spell activates again, getting ourselves another draw. So now we've used that twice per turn already. Now we have a couple things on the field that we want to use. So Captain Carrie, Madam Spider, what I like to do is synchro them, but you can overlay them for Gossip Shadow if you wanted to. Have an extra monster negate. But for the advantage loop, I like to synchro them because of tuner, non-tuner. I like to sync them into Star Leon. And then we can set our 2 trap cards. And then let's talk about what we kind of established here. So what we have, starting with the punk stuff, is we have a quick effect synchro. So in your opponent's turn, pay 600 life points, synchro these 2 off, and we can go into an Amazing Dragon. And then in a new chain, we're going to get Jam Extreme Session. We're going to get a draw for that. And Punk Amazing Dragon is going to be able to bounce things up to the number of level 3 psychics we have in our grave, so which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can bounce up to 4 cards on your opponent's field back to their hand. So that's great disruption. And we even drew a card off of the Sharakusai and the Jam Extreme Session. Then we have a Star Leon. He has a quick effect monster pop. So that's another form of disruption. Dangerous Gabu is basically a monster negate. And then start your engine. If they summon a monster, normal or special, we can reveal review any 3 of our Gold Prime monsters, special summon it out, and then destroy whatever thing that they summoned. So that's a 4th disruption. And then if by the end phase, the Star Leon had activated its effect, and this thing lives, you can shuffle it back to your extra deck and summon a Gold Pride monster from your deck. In this case, it's going to be Gold Pride Leon in the end phase. In the end phase, it's going to bring back the Captain Carrie, and then the Captain Carrie is going to search for another copy of Start Your Engines, and then you can basically do that combo again the next turn. And this is not including the monster that you probably searched off of the Start Your Engine in the first place. So we'd probably have another monster out on the field. So most likely having like if we have a Nitro head out here, and then next turn, if these 2 are out, this one coming from Start Your Engine and these 2 coming from Star Leon, we can sync these 2 off for like Psychic and Punisher and go for game. We can do all sorts of things that we can do. We can bring another level 3 and go for the Synchro 9 Navy Dragon Mech. So all sorts of things. And that's just from a simple combo of any Punk starter plus Captain Carrie. Anyways, that'll be my deck profile for Gold Pride Punk. I'm planning to do updates to this deck as I play it throughout locals and just kind of make changes to it. Some considerations I'm thinking of are like adding like Therions to it, so rank 8 with Gigantic Captain or Champion Sargus to search for Therions, and just looking for ways to optimize this. One of the things I'm already looking at is maybe cutting down on the number of Nitro Head, just to add a consistency to everything. But for now, that's my deck, and I will update if I make any improvements or make any big changes to it. Anyway, my name is Tommy Chu. Thanks for watching my deck profile. Peace.